I'm Ryan Lundquist. I was at Faith from 2004 to 2009.
I'm Joy, originally Joy Anderson. I was at Faith from 2004 to 2005, and I was in the administrative assistant program.
I started with a one-year Bible and then went to a two-year Bible and then eventually into the pastoral program when I graduated. Faith for me was kind of a last option, if I'm being honest. God was closing other doors in my life and brought me to a place where I didn't really have any other place to go. At that time, I'd waited too long to do some other things. And I had a small scholarship from Talents for Christ and the urging of some sweet old ladies in my church that I grew up in. And so I finally agreed to go, thinking I'd get out as soon as I could, and then I didn't make any plans, so I stayed another year. And it was during that sophomore year that God finally broke me, and I was willing to follow Him, and I surrendered to ministry, and then things changed. From then on, I wanted to be at Faith, and classes were new and exciting and different. And I did an internship at Altoona Regular Baptist Church as part of my undergrad program, and out of that, the church called me to be their associate for 5 years. And at the close of those 5 years, we were in contact with a church here. They were looking for a pastor, for their first full-time pastor, and God was leading us that way. So we've been here a little over 10 and a half years in southern Colorado.
When I was a young girl, it was at the age of 12, I surrendered my life to full-time ministry, although I was saved at a younger age, but I felt the call into full-time ministry at a young age as well. And so that was part of my decision to go to Faith, that I knew that would better prepare me for any ministry the Lord had ahead of time. But I was highly exposed to missions when I was a child, and so I thought I was going to be a missionary somewhere. And although I didn't go into the missions program, and so I guess that was the first indication that the Lord was doing something else in my life at that time. But when Ryan and I started dating in college, I knew that the Lord had future ministry in the local church for him, and I was very content to do whatever I could to minister alongside him.
I think for me, as I look back at my time on Faith, the friendships that I made while there was maybe the most valuable thing. Just having men who loved Jesus and were investing in me and taking life seriously when I wasn't, that was something God used for a time to kind of open my eyes to how I needed to live intentionally, more serious, than being able to walk alongside those guys and be an encouragement. And I built friendships now that have endured over time and distance. And then on top of that, you have all of the things that Faith is known for, godly professors that want nothing more than their students to learn to love and follow Jesus. You have an environment where those who are determined to grow, you couldn't ask for a better environment than Faith. Chapels daily and classes that are encouraging and a structure of life that helps to protect even rebellious guys like me.
I think one of the essential things for me in preparing for what we're doing now was my exposure to ministry, even in my teen years and in college as well. Taking advantage of opportunities in the local church to serve the local church and to perhaps do those missions trips or do ministry of some kind, to be involved with children's programs. And I learned young how to do some of those things that as an adult sometimes people are scared of. But when you're introduced to it as a kid, and then in college to have that real-time application where they want and they need these college kids serving at the churches that surrounded the campus, it was another indication and another opportunity to, I guess, hone skills, and be able to really develop the passion for ministry. And I think that without those opportunities, it would perhaps be a different story for even both of us. We were challenged, especially in college, to step up to the task and to do the opportunities that were in front of us. And it opened all kinds of doors in the way that God led. Specifically, you went on a hurricane relief, trip, and it seems like God used that in just really specific ways where He might have not had, all of an idea of what that would entail, but there is where he met the pastor that then he interned for, and there was just all kinds of connections that God made.
I was thinking back of all of the people in our churches that we were a part of during our time at Faith that invested in us. Not just the preparing meals for Sunday evenings when the cafeteria wasn't open, but just took a real genuine interest in us, had us over, checked in on us, and really modeled for us what it was to live a faithful life, and I'm thankful for that as well. Ministry comes with all kinds of struggles, but even as I try to look back and think of specifics, they kind of melt away into the joys of ministry.
It's a little bit of a roller coaster ride, because you can be on a really high point at 9 a.m. and by 11 o'clock that morning on a Sunday morning you may have hit a low, and I think that was something that we maybe weren't as prepared for. Your heart just longing to serve your people, and that comes with messy lives attached. It's been a joy, but there has definitely been hardships, but there's been really great victories that the Lord has shown himself faithful. And they overshadow some of those negative things that pop up.
We just celebrated 25 years as a church. The first 14 of that, it was a church plant, and I'm the first full-time vocational pastor that the church has had. And so getting to look back meant looking back over the faithfulness of families that were here when there were just a handful, families that have walked through hardship and seen God be faithful. And then during that service and since, we've been looking forward, what might God do over the next 25 years? And it's been fun to dream a little bit and to look maybe at where we have not done as good a job as we could, and now how do we make sure moving forward we encourage the right kinds of things, not just in our people, but even in ourselves. The community we live in here is one of the fastest growing in the state of Colorado. So over the next 10 years, they expect all kinds of growth. We're surrounded. There's no other church around us. We have people moving in all the time, and we have so many opportunities here that we need to be taking advantage of them. We, at the 25th, reminded the church that when Paul wrote to the Ephesians, he spoke very highly of them. And less than 50 years into their existence, in the book of Revelation, they're being reprimanded by their Savior. And so, if we as a church look back at 25 and say, man, look at all that God has done, and then don't look forward to what God will do and then faithfully follow him in that, we could end up in the very same way that Ephesus did.
What I would say is that this is a hard place to do ministry. All places are hard, but this is, it's unique in the fact that it doesn't have a lot of the encouragements that come in other areas of the world and fellowships. And so if there's anything I would say, we had a very good friend tell us once, the West needs pastors. Mm-hmm. And it couldn't be more true. We are desperate for more Bible-believing churches in this area. And as much as we can do, we're reaching into the community and preparing and equipping the people here to spread the gospel, but it is a desolate place. As we look to the future, we hope to be able to replicate what the Lord's done here and grow this community in the knowledge and the love for their Savior.
We kind of took for granted the fellowship that we enjoyed in Iowa. We didn't realize what we had probably while we had it until you move out to a place like this where the closest fellowshipping church is an hour away. And most of the churches in the fellowship would be as far away as Denver, which is a couple hours from us. And it's a lot harder to connect on a regular, ongoing way with churches that are so far away. When, in Iowa we had 30 churches within 30 miles of Faith's campus. It was so easy that you don't really realize what a treat it is to have that kind of connection with others, coworkers and like-minded churches. Until you get away from that and you realize that not everywhere is like Central Iowa is.
amplifies the need for more churches in our area, because we can do so much in this building, with the size congregation we have, that there's plenty of space for other churches to thrive here as well. And Pueblo needs the Lord desperately. It's just a different world out here.